Welcome to College Town Talk. I'm Shan Stout.
And I'm Jonathan Frank.
Now, Jonathan, I hope you're ready for some serious girl power on today's episode because we are talking with none other than Tennessee Tech's 2025-26 student body president, the beautiful and charming Cheyenne Bare.
Listen, Cheyenne is one of those students who has been on our radar in the communications and marketing office at Tech for a while now because we all knew she would go far. She was on student government last year as treasurer. She's also been a Tennessee Tech Trailblazer, which is what we call our tour guides. She's been part of the Golden Eagle Marching Band, and as if I needed another reason to be a fan of hers, she is a double major in accounting and my college major, political science. Shout out to Lori Maxwell. So Cheyenne, welcome to College Town Talk.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, Cheyenne, we've got a lot of questions we want to ask you, but first, I want to ask how it felt to win your race for SGA president. And I ask that partly because we had a contested election this year. Your predecessor, Kelsey Hewitt, was unopposed when she ran for president, and so I think it was maybe she said it was a little anticlimactic for her on election night, but this year we had ourselves a real race. So tell me two questions. First, why you decided to run for president, and then how it felt when those final votes were tallied.
Yeah, so definitely this year was a lot different. Being on Kelsey's team the previous year, like you said, as treasurer, when we kind of planned that campaign, we knew nobody else was running. We waited, we applied, nobody else was on the ballot. So the planning was there, but it was more like a fun thing. This year was definitely a lot more stress, I would say. A lot more planning had to go into it. But I've been in SGA for 4 years. So I started out in our first year assembly program, which is like a leadership program for first year and transfer students. So that kind of introduced me to SGA. I had been in student government in high school and middle school. Elementary school, I think I was a class president maybe 1 year. So that was kind of fun. So I'd always been in it. And then I had never really thought about president. And then October 2024, I was talking with Kelsey and I was like, I kind of want to be the president. Like I see what you're doing and I'm interested by it and I want to do it. So about the end of October, I said, you know what, I'm doing this. It's what I want. I know I have all these ideas and I know I can do it. So I kind of set that goal for myself and ran with it. So, and now we're here and I'm in it. But, so November, I started planning, which seems crazy early since elections are in April, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, getting a photographer, getting a team together, my vice president, treasurer, and secretary, and then coming up with like the purpose for it, which ironically is the team name that we picked, Purpose. So getting to election night, I was out to dinner with my friends when I figured out I got a phone call that told me that I won. And I just remember being in shock because, it's an exciting thing, but also my competitor had been on the team the previous year with me as Kelsey's vice president. So, it's kind of, we're still friends and there was obviously no bad blood there. And I know he had such great ideas for the student body. So he's still in SGA and I'm very glad to have him in our SGA Senate this year. So I'm really hoping to incorporate some of his ideas, but it was fun. It was a really good experience and taught me a lot about being a leader of a team when there's competition going on. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, we've spoken to the past presidents across our podcast, and now that we're in the third season, I can't believe it's season 3. How is this possible? We've got a little bit of an established history here. So we are going to ask you the same question that we asked Chance and Kelsey in previous years. And I think you can handle the question because you are obviously a natural leader. And we always see great things coming from these presidents because I think you're elevating yourself in these places of responsibility that a lot of times in college you're not ready for that yet. And so, but you've just stepped up and done it. So here's your question. What are some of your goals as SGA president, and how do you hope to put your mark on the university over the next year? That's going to make a big impact.
Yeah. So my team, when we decided to kind of do this thing, we set on a team named Purpose because I'd always thought that I'm so lucky to have picked a school and found my purpose here, and I want to be able to do that for other tech students, and I want SGA to play their part in that. So I think really our goals this year are to uplift some of the programs Tech already does and try to introduce things where maybe we're missing a part of the student body. So maybe our working and commuting students, do we have enough resources for them? And we heard a lot of feedback during tabling for campaigning about stuff on campus that they want to see improved. So we've already started kind of going to those offices and talking to those people about what we've heard and seeing what more feedback they want from the student body and kind of reaching out. And it's all about making sure that every student at Tech feels like they belong and finding kind of what they need here that maybe Tech already offers, and we need to make it more accessible, or finding something new that Tech can offer. So,
wow, Cheyenne, I mean, I don't know if you're interested in politics, but you're already winning my vote for whatever you would go for in the future.
Well, and she is a political science major.
Listen,
so.
I can tell. I mean, and just the fact that you are such a good communicator, but I love the fact that all of your answers lean back toward students or your team. Mm-hmm. You are not just saying, I plan to do this and I with my presidency. And, you hear that sometimes with people that they're centrally focused on themselves, but you are very team-centric. You see that it does take a group of people to make change, and you're listening to the people, which are the student body. I'm just very impressed with you. That's all I'm saying. I would have voted for hands down.
Well, and I love what you said about wanting to kind of draw attention to and uplift, in some cases, what are already existing programs or things that we offer. Because, I think we've got over 200, and I think the number is 225 student organizations. In many cases, it's the answer is there. The solution to a problem or a challenge already exists, but it's getting students to engage and recognize that that's already available to them. And so really appreciate your answer there. But Cheyenne, like we said in the introduction, you've been very involved on this campus. And one of the ways you've plugged into campus life is through your sorority, Phi Mu. And I think sometimes Greek life can be kind of a misunderstood part of the college experience. It wasn't something that I participated in during college, but for those who want that experience, and we've talked to other guests on this show about this, I know it can be a great way to find community, be engaged in service, because our sororities and fraternities are each engaged in some really worthwhile philanthropic causes. So can you talk a little bit about what you see as the value of Greek life on Tech's campus, and then why you wanted to rush your sorority specifically?
Yeah. So Greek life at Tech is definitely, I would say, kind of in that misunderstood category, because everything you see in the media for Greek life is these big SEC schools. And we're not a small campus by any means. We've kind of got that really good medium size going on, but our Greek life does make up a pretty big percent of our students. And I think it's exactly what you mentioned, community. So I rushed later. So I was a sophomore when I joined Phi Mu. So I didn't get necessarily going straight into it. So I already had a community at Tech, but I was still missing something. And so I think a big part of it that led me into it was actually the service side of it. And then the community kind of came later. So Phi Mu really drew me in because our philanthropy is Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And we specifically support Vanderbilt in Nashville. So I have had loved ones and family members that have been miracle kids at that hospital. So they kind of reeled me in with that. And then once I met all the girls, it just immediately clicked. And I think you hear that from most girls in every sorority on campus. It's just they were a little unsure, and then it just clicks for you when you find your home. So, and then you kind of get into more of the things with, you have leadership opportunities, and there's so much room for growth in Greek life that I think is really beneficial for a lot of students. Because you can kind of make it your own. You don't have to be the president of your sorority. You don't have to have an executive position, but you can still, there's so many little things that you can learn and pull from it that I think it's really important that if you're really thinking about it, just to try it, because, these are memories you're making for a lifetime. And even the fun parts of it are so, so worth it. Because yes, I'm a leader in my sorority too. I'm on our executive team. But it's still those little things of I found my best friends for life, and I know I have people I can go to that are still really important about that community and connection.
Well, I love your answer there that, you don't have to be a part of the executive leadership in it, but it does regardless give you that sense of belonging. And, my daughter, her freshman year, she immediately joined a sorority, found a group of friends that she's still friends with today, even though she's moved on in a career and started her adult life and all of those things. But she eventually moved on to be a part of the executive pieces of the sorority, and it helped her in her job now. She learned leadership and communication and how to promote and fundraise organizing and all of those things that really pushed her to be able to excel and hone those skills. So I love that. Now, apart from the sorority, you also served your campus community as a Tennessee Tech Trailblazer, which that I can tell you're very social, so you're probably a great tour guide for students and that first impression of the campus. And you gave personalized tours of the campus to prospective students. And I remember those days as a parent going and you just are asking that poor Trailblazer a million questions because you just are trying to catch up and figure out what everything would look like. And now you're a pretty busy person, so why did you want to take on that added responsibility? And what have you enjoyed most about being a Trailblazer on top of everything else?
So trailblazing was something that I knew immediately when I came to Tech I wanted to do. I never did a tour of Tech. I have a very strange story for how I got here. I just kind of picked Tech on a whim, saw campus for the first time during SOAR, knew nobody coming here. So it was kind of it's just strange when I tell people that. So I never had my own Trailblazer, but I became a Trailblazer. It was my second semester at Tech, so I was still a freshman. I was still a little baby here. I was trying to learn about campus, and so I thought it'd be a really good way, but I've continued to do it for so long because it's just, and every time I think about leaving, I think of, oh my gosh, what if I meet another family that their student decides to come to Tech because of me? And it's really those stories. I have people that come up to me all the time and they're like, you were my tour guide. And I was like, yes, I remember you. And you follow these people on Instagram. And I always make sure to leave them a little way to contact me. And even if they don't come to Tech, just seeing these people that, they come here their junior, senior year in high school and they're so unsure, just finding them on the right path is really rewarding and uplifting. So I really think that just meeting the new students coming to Tech and kind of being locked in on what questions they're asking, what challenges they're facing has been really important to me. So,
well, I love that. And we just did a story about the Trailblazer program and the communications and marketing office because it's coming up on 5 years, and it's neat to kind of step back and think about the impact in that time. And for those that listeners that don't know the history, I mean, it was President Oldham. It was the president's office that said, "Hey, let's find a way to personalize this." And not have students necessarily going on these big group tours, and just get it more on a one-on-one level where you can have real, conversations. And so I love that story, and I know that they're really fortunate to have you as a Trailblazer. We're going to have enough time, so I want to pick up with an extra question here, Cheyenne, which is you gave us a little tease, and I couldn't not pick up on that. You said you had kind of an unconventional route to getting to Tech. You had not visited the campus, you said. I mean, tell us, how did you you looked at a map and kind of closed your eyes? How did you?
So, It's definitely a strange story, and sometimes people don't believe me when I tell them, but, as active as I've been in college, I was the same way in high school. I was, very high up in my class, part of our student government there, and all my friends. We had talked about college for years and years and years, and I got to senior year, and I was so tired of talking about where I was going to school. I had no idea what I wanted, and I think especially during COVID, I was like, I'll find where it's supposed to be. Like, it'll just happen the right way. And so while everybody was stressing, I applied to 3 schools, and I said, whoever I hear back from first is where I'll go.
Oh, wow.
And Tennessee Tech emailed me first. I withdrew my other 2 applications, and it's where I picked. I had students previous years come, but
it's
it was
like the Russian roulette of college applications.
Our admissions office, that is music to their ears. Cut it, clip it, that's an ad. They got back to you first.
Yes.
They were the most responsive.
Yes. Yeah, they let me know first, and I said, this is where I'm going. I told my parents. I had a couple of friends come the few previous years, and they liked it. And I was like, I might sound crazy, but this is where I'm going. And I came, and I absolutely loved it. I loved Cookeville. I love Tech. I love the community. So I got really, really lucky.
Fate and destiny stepped in.
Yes.
We're grateful to have you.
Yeah, well, you just alluded to this. So I want to pick up on what you're how you're making the most of your time here in Cookeville, because you are originally from Rogersville. I know that, but now that you're a senior at Tech, I think it's safe to say you are officially an adopted Cookevillian. And something that both Shan and I work on every day is letting people know about all the great things they can find in Cookeville, whether it's Shan's work with the Visitors Bureau or in the communications and marketing office at Tech. I mean, that is a big part of how how we reach out to prospective students is letting them know, what they can experience here. We, some people may not know, we have trademarked the phrase Tennessee's College Town, so they can't say it about Murfreesboro or Knoxville. Cookeville is Tennessee's College Town. So we've got to ask, what has the experience in Cookeville been like for you, and what are some of your go-to places here in town?
Yeah, so like you said, I came from a really tiny town, and that was something I was worried about when I just picked a school was, am I going to be overwhelmed by Cookeville? Because when I go home, when I go to a restaurant, I know who owns it. Like, we have a Walmart, and that's about it. So coming to Cookeville is definitely a little scary. But something I really love is how local everything still is. So, like, I go into a restaurant, and it's a Cookeville restaurant. Like, I don't just have to go to a chain on Interstate Drive and do the same things over and over. And the community, especially around the places downtown, is just so wonderful. My favorite restaurant ever in the whole world is Seven Senses. I will never stop making my friends go there with me.
What a great restaurant.
Yes, and they all love Father Tom's, and I do too, but Seven Senses just has that special place for me. I love it. Their food's great. And Glass Tangerine was one of the first local places I ever went to. Glass Tangerine and Poppy. So those are two places I go about once a week to both just to browse, and it's nice to just go downtown, and it feels like home. I've spent my summers here. Most students go back for the summer, but I decided to stay, whether it be for internships or stuff I was doing on campus through the summer. So I really did fall in love with Cookeville, and I love it here. I can't imagine going to college anywhere else.
Wow, she's just a commercial for Cookeville. Now, Jay, Emma, and Sarah, and that is Seven Senses, Glass Tangerine, and Poppies. You hear that, guys? You have an advocate right here.
Bring me
so.
in.
Well, and I mean, because this has happened before, where there are students that get to their senior year, and then we love Restaurant Row, and we love our the offerings closer to the interstate, but there have been students that tell us they get to the end of their student experience, and then they come down to the west side and the courthouse square, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know that this was all here."
Yes,
and we're really trying to. I mean, now we've got Wings Up Wednesdays on the west side, where we have the bus that drops students off,
and College Town Kickoff right in the downtown.
Yeah,
yes,
it's coming
because
up.
we want students to experience local and to patronize those businesses, which I think all of those that you listed off are owned by Tennessee Tech alumni. And so that's awesome that you just early on embraced our local scene here in Cookeville.
Okay, now, Cheyenne, I'm sure you're getting this question a lot as a senior. I know I did. And we're going to be the nosy cousins at the family reunion for a minute and ask you what you've probably had to answer 100 times. What are your future plans after graduating? And it's okay if those plans change, but we just want to know your status.
Yeah, so I'm starting the process of looking at law schools. So, I'm excited yet scared because it's a lot more prep than I originally put into college for tech. So, starting that process of searching and kind of figuring out, what I want to do beyond that. Because I've had a lot of people at tech tell me going to law school is not guarantee you a job. Like, you have to find the type of law you want to practice. You have to kind of find your niche within that, and that's kind of scary for me. And I'm trying to figure it out as I go through some of my senior year classes and talking with my professors. But law school's on the horizon, and it's quickly approaching, so it'll be here before I know it. So.
Oh, you'll be amazing.
Well, and we made a joke about this earlier, but political science major.
Yeah.
Do you have SGA president? Do you have political aspirations?
Yes, I would say so. I'm very interested in policy. So SGA does something every year called the Tennessee Intercollegiate State Legislature. And you actually write these bills based on our actual legislation right now in Tennessee, and you go and you do a mock legislature. And my first year I was a lobbyist, so kind of doing, running around trying to get people to vote on stuff. In the last 2 years I was a representative. So I've actually written probably 25 bills over 2 years related to actual legislation in Tennessee. And those things are looked at by actual lawmakers. So it's really interesting to know that they've maybe looked at some of my bills before. And then this year I was selected to represent Middle Tennessee on the Supreme Court for it's kind of like they do a moot court competition. So aspiring lawyers from across the state and from every university in the state bring teams, and they compete to see who's going to come out on top and what the court picks. So I was selected to represent Middle Tennessee and Tennessee Tech on that. So I'm really excited for that and seeing where that goes. But I'm definitely interested in public policy. You know, I've always had a passion in high school too. I was always more interested in politics than maybe my peers. So I would think that's definitely probably the obvious path right now. And you know,
I feel her destiny.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
me too.
and I'm excited for that. You know, I work for the state right now in an internship, so I'm really excited about the possibility of continuing that. So
Finally, Cheyenne, we like to end each interview on our show with the same question, and that is, what is one way that Tennessee Tech has impacted your life?
yeah, so Tennessee Tech, I think, and I got really lucky to fall into a student body that's just perfect enough to where I can still blend in with the crowd and have my own experiences and not really worry about everybody's eyes on me, but still stand out kind of as a star student and kind of push myself forward and bring my team with me in that and kind of make names for ourselves here at Tech. And that's something that I've really loved is Tech is all about uplifting students. And I don't necessarily know that I would have got that experience anywhere else. There's just something about, you know, when you talk to President Oldham and when you talk with the staff here, they're just all very, what can we do for the students? And that's something that I've really loved. And I think that's something that really sets us apart from other schools in the state is just how much Tech cares about the student body. You know, when I talk to any professor in the classroom from my freshman year to now going into this year, and I've taken some summer courses this semester. So it's just really, they all push you to be better. And I think that our size is just so perfect. And, you know, we're building up stuff for new students. So leadership academies are coming up. We've got some, and it's just continuously bringing in new things and new perspectives. And our staff, even the ones that have been here for years, are always willing to listen. So I think it's, you know, and it's kind of what I talked about with my purpose here and what I want, what me and my team wants to do with being on exec this year is, you know, Tennessee Tech has changed. We're coming out of the COVID years, and I think everybody's really receptive to that change and fixing things. So, you know, these new students that are coming in, somebody told me yesterday that students that were in sixth grade during COVID are now in high school, and that really blew me away. It was crazy. And I'm like, this is the next set of students that's going to be coming to Tech. So, you know, and their lives have been completely different than the professors or even students that graduated the past few years. So, you know, looking at those things and figuring out the issues that they're going to have. So.
Well, I love hearing you share that because, you know, we've got this slogan at Tennessee Tech, students first,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it's more than a slogan. I feel like I see on from where I sit where that is very sincere, and that is a mission that the faculty and staff care deeply about. But to hear you as a student say that you see that is powerful. And so, Cheyenne, thank you so much for being our guest today on College
Thank
Town
you so
Talk.
much for having me.
For our listeners, you can learn more about Tennessee Tech Student Government Association at tntech.edu/SGA. And don't forget, you can catch up on previous episodes of this podcast at tntech.edu/College Talk.
And one more thing before we go. If you're enjoying our show and hearing from incredible Tennessee Tech students like Cheyenne, would you do us a favor and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts? It all helps to spread the word about the great things happening right here in Cookeville.
We'll meet you back here again next week for more conversations with the people who make Cookeville, Tennessee's college town.
College Town Talk is presented by Tennessee Tech University in partnership with the Cookeville-Putnam County Visitors Bureau. Your hosts are Jonathan Frank and Shan Stout, and original music is performed by Andrew Buckner. Visit us online at tntech.edu/College Town Talk.